So, hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC and I build custom PCs to suit anyone's needs or budget. Also live stream my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you'd like to get an awesome new PC and you'd like to see it put together live, send me a message today. Alrighty, so we're back here tonight with something new. We haven't featured this CPU before. This is the i5 14600KF, so it's the revision. So this is a free upgrade for this customer. There was a couple of the Black Friday specials, and this one was the same price as the 13600KF. So happy days! It's instead of getting the 13th gen, you get the 14th gen. So it's pretty much the same CPU. It's just the revision, so it's sort of clocked higher and stuff like that. But fundamentally, it is the same. Where are we? Does it even have the core and spec? Core and thread, I should say, on this? It doesn't even say. But I'm going to assume that it's a 14 core 20 thread CPU like the 13600KF. But I guess we'll find out when we install it and have a look at it. We've also got here, we've got the Asus Prime B760M-A Wi-Fi motherboard. So this is a DDR5 compatible motherboard, which brings us over here to our RAM. So we've got a 32 gigabyte kit of 6000 megahertz CL30 RAM. So this is good, fast, low latency RAM. You can either go 6000 CL30 if you can, or 62 or 6400 CL32 if you can. These are generally a good speed, you know, in terms of stability and stuff like that, compatibility. For our SSD, we've got a Silicon Power 2 terabyte here. We've got the RTX 4070, it's the Gigabyte Eagle OC. We've got a massive power supply here. We've got a Cooler Master MWE Gold 1050 watt. I think it's the V2. Basically, the V2, it has one of the 12 plus 4 pin connectors, but it's got the 90-degree connector. So for this build, we actually don't need the 12 plus 4 pin connector. The 4070 doesn't actually require it. We use the traditional 6 plus 2 pin connector for this graphics card. So if you get the 4070 Ti, 4080 or 4090, you will use that new connector. However, we're going to install the cables here because we went with a big power supply so that we could upgrade the CPU, sorry, the graphics card and the CPU in time. So in addition to that, we've got a Deepcool LT720 360mm all-in-one liquid cooler, and we're going to be chucking it in an Antec P20C. So this is all blacked out. There's no RGB. If there is, there might be a little bit of lighting on the graphics card, but we can most likely disable that. So look, let's get stuck right into it. I'll get Christine to swap over the cable, and you can now have a look at what I do from a different angle. So that's pretty cool, right?
I already had it plugged in. Plug it back
It's up
in.
here that's loose. It was up here.
Oh.
You gotta check it. Goes into the camera. It can come loose with that connection. Okay, so sorry about that interruption. So this is what we've got here. We've got the Asus Prime B760-A motherboard. And so what do we get in here? We get the Wi-Fi antenna. Oh. Let me just put that motherboard off to the side for a second. Let's have a look what we got in the box. We've got a rear I/O shield right here. We've got some SATA cables, M2 offsets, and oh look, we got a CD.
Oh yay.
How cool is that? And some basic documentation and stuff like that. Also got some little sticky things for the M2 drives. I don't usually use them. Okay, what's up?
Ray says hi from Macedonia.
Hey Ray, how you going? Good to have you with us.
And Darren says hi.
Hey Darren, how you going? Good to have you with us as always. Alrighty, so let's have a look at this board. Okay, so a pretty good board there. All right, and this is basically what a budget-ish board looks like these days, you know. And it's a pretty well-equipped board. I mean, if you've been in the PC scene for any decent amount of time, if I go through the specs of this board, you'll remember just probably about 5 years ago, or not even 5 years ago, the specs that we're going to look at here are, yeah, this is what you used to get on, you know, really expensive motherboards, like $500 plus motherboards. And we've come a long way in 5 years. So up the top here, we've got 8 pins. Sorry, let me get that around a bit better. The heatsink's so big you can barely see it. But we've got 8. And the way you see it is around the back. We got 1, 2, 3 fan headers. So it's probably the one thing that this board kind of lacks a bit is the fan headers. So just be aware of that if you pick this board up. You've got a bit of open space here, so you can actually run that fan cable down there to plug into that header there, and you can barely see anything. Alright, so in addition to that, up the top here we've got and also down the bottom here we've got another 5 volt plus a 12 volt header there. And so we've got obviously our 4 slots there. This is a DDR5 motherboard. So yeah, we've got dual channel memory here. So the idea is you'll put one stick in slot 2 and the next stick, because each group of 2 slots is a single channel, and the CPU can talk to both channels at the same time. So having a 16 gigabyte stick in one channel and a 16 gigabyte stick in the second channel is better performance than 16. Makes sense. Alrighty. Oh look, I saw there's a sneaky 4th fan header here behind the ATX connector there. We've got USB 3 plus USB-C on this motherboard. We've got USB-C on this case, so we'll be making use of all of that. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 SATA ports. Obviously our front panel connectors there, plus a post-beep speaker if you want to install that. Got a secondary USB 3. That's one of those features in this board that, you know, that was pretty high end back in the day, but it's good to have that there now. There's a number of cases that require the two USB 3s. What do we got? Two USB 2s, so it's still good to have them. Got an LPT port, COM port, a SPI-diff header, and then we've got our front panel audio connectors. These little golden looking cylinder things, these are our audio capacitors. All this stuff around here is related to our audio. And that brings us around the back here. So we've got our audio here as close as possible to our audio on the board. We've got our Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.1 installed there. We've got LAN port. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 USB 2s. We've got 2 USB, I think they'll be there. They actually won't be in use for our board here because we have the i5 14600KF. So because it's an F from Intel, it means it doesn't have any integrated graphics, so you need the graphics card. So anyway, the only stuff we haven't spoken about is this stuff in the middle. So we've got 2 M2 slots. We've got our PCIe X16 slot, and then let's see if you can make it out. So if you look really closely, you can see that there's pins in this socket up to roughly where my finger is. So that is what we call an X4 slot. It's actually the same as our M2 slots, but the M2 PCIe X4 slots, the same as this. And you can see this one above it, you can see that the pins cut out like there. That's a PCIe X1 slot. So that one there is good if you just have like a little Wi-Fi dongle or an extra network card or something like that. Something like a 4K capture card. That needs that PCIe X4 slot down there, so it's a good thing to have that. Some boards will just have 2 X1 slots. These are some of the things that you need to consider the more complicated your system is. Anyway, let's open this up and let's get it on the board. So,
That was a tough one.
no.
Shit.
Okay.
George says, "Have that delivery soon."
Hey George, yep, yours is shipped off today, man. I'm so sorry. I kept leaving it on the desk. It's one of those small little things that you just
Again.
Let me see if I can get it to focus. There we go. So yeah, here we go, the i5 14600KF. Tell are the overclockers, because even though this is very similar to the 13th gen in terms of what the product is, these are what we call sort of the better binned CPUs. So they'll make a whole heap of bloody what do you call it? They'll make a whole heap of CPUs, right? Like to a certain spec, like the ones that are going to be the 14600KF or the 13600KF. They would have started with the 13600KFs. They make say they make 10,000 of them. Then they go and test those 10,000. They're going to use them for the 14th gen because it's going to be pretty much the same CPU, the same process as what they refer to it as. when you're making silicon chips. So these 14th gen one are the better binned ones. So after they tested, 10,000 of them, they put the top 1,000 aside to sell as the 14th gen. This is how binning works with any kind of process. So you might see say have a look at say 13th gen i9s. They're all 24 core, 32 thread CPU. They've got slightly different numbers, and you might think these are like actually different CPUs. It's all the same process. Then the company, either Intel or AMD, they test and don't survive higher clock speeds and higher powers running through them. They're the ones that they've got some imperfections and they don't go as well when you run a lot of power through them. And they become like the bottom tier for any product class. So just to give you a bit of an idea how that works. So if you buy any of the 14th gen K series, you're getting like the best of the best example of a 13th/14th gen CPU. Alrighty, so if it wants to freaking focus
It's
properly.
fine.
Might be a little bit distorted on my screen because I've got a 4K monitor and it's a 1080p capture card. Christine reckons it's fine. Hopefully you reckon it's fine as well. See, it's good for me to have the highest possible standards, right? Okay, so for our M2 drive, we're going to leave this one here at the top. We're going to use that if the customer wants to upgrade and add more storage later in its life, because this one here has a heatsink and stuff on it. We've just got a Gen 3 NVMe SSD here, so it doesn't really get that hot, not compared to the Gen 4 ones. So it's good to save that heatsink for if we ever install a Gen 4 drive. Because like I say to people all the time, I don't know, when I build a PC, I don't know how long this PC is going to be, in use. Because I might sell it to one customer and then they might have it for, let's say, 2-3 years, and then they sell and buy another one, or they just sell it and give up the PC thing. All scenarios are possible. But then it gets sold to someone else, and then they have that PC, and then they're going to have to either do work on it to fix mistakes or do upgrades on it and all that. So I like to sort of think about, what's this going to be like in the future, even if it doesn't really make too much sense in the short term. Because this is a 2 terabyte drive. Let's be real, most people are going to have all the storage they need with 2 terabytes. Okay. Here on the kit. This is actually, I misspoke before. I said that this was 6000 megahertz CL30 RAM. And then I said also that 6200 CL32 and 6400 CL32 was also good. And this is the 6400 megahertz CL32 RAM. So watch out. And so yeah, if you're wondering what that kind of means, you got the speed. Pretty easy to understand. Speed, how fast the CPU is, the latency. So what you want is high speed and low latency. So if you're looking at it and say you were looking at some DDR5 kit, you're looking at one of the cheaper ones, and you say you're looking at something like that's 5600 megahertz and CL40. And you might look at that CL40 and go, oh, 40's bigger than 32, that must be good, right? No, no, no. That one there, that value there, you want as low as possible. The speed, measured in megahertz or mega transfers, aka MT, that one you want as high as possible. So, just FYI. It can be a little bit confusing to like understand all the nuance here with this sort of shit. Okay, so now we're going to prep up this cooler here. So this is the Infinity Series LT720 cooler. Their new manufacturing facility, they spent like over $1 billion, like about 2 billion Aussie dollars or so on their new facility in China. It's like state-of-the-art, robotically controlled and blah 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 blah. And Deepcool were never known for sort of good quality coolers and stuff like that, and you know, usually they were a budget job cooler and stuff like that. But now they actually have really good coolers, and they've caught the attention of people like me who build PCs for other people, because the facts and the specs on these things are bloody excellent. So this one here, the one that doesn't have the RGB, this is even more powerful than the RGB version of this cooler. So just FYI, it's an excellent cooler. You can expect essentially the top tier of performance with this, and you also get a 5-year warranty on the pump. And obviously the pump is the key component. It's the moving part. You know, it's very hard for a hose to just decide to die. You know, hoses like this last for a long time. The radiator, it's made of aluminium. This thing's going to be around for 20 years. It's barely going to decay away or anything like that, even in a humid environment, whatever. The key thing is this: you need to get a good quality pump. Now, this here has a little cap that comes on. Well, it comes off, I should say. Has a little bit of addressable lighting there, but you don't even have to use that if you want it blacked out. I'll probably connect this one up for this build, and then I'll just tell the customer how to turn it off if they want it completely blacked out. So sometimes, you know, for some people they might be like, why would you ever want it completely blacked out? But there are cases. There are gamers that, you know, run businesses and like have to have freaking meetings with like, you know, really conservative and judgmental sort of clients and stuff like that, and they game and they want a gaming PC, and their home is their office, and they actually, you know, have people, you know, have meetings and stuff there. They don't want it to look like some juvenile's PC. They want it to look, you know, smart and professional, and like they don't care about it being a high-end computer. That's cool, but they don't want it looking like some, you know, teenage kid's computer, and you completely understand that. Okay, so this is all the kit that you get with the cooler. So you gotta prep all that up. Looking all over for this bloody thing. So this is the Intel backplate here. It's pretty simple to install. So you get 4 holes there, and you just chuck it on like that. You could get some, you know, you could get some sticky tape or something to hold it in place. I generally don't think that that's necessary. So you get a couple of different style offsets there. So the one here with the ridges, that is the LGA 1700 socket one. So it's important that you use the right little offsets here, because if you don't, you can cause the board to actually get warped from tightening it down, because it'll have uneven like tightening pressures. Actually, I think in the case of the LGA 1700 socket and the other one, the LGA 1200 socket one, right? This one we're not using, is taller than these. So it's when you use these ones on the older motherboards that you can get the warping. With this, you get insufficient mounting pressure, and then your cooler starts to overheat. So that's really fun. Okay. That's AMD. What am I doing? Who knows, right? Alright, so we got these go on. It's pretty simple. There's like little bevels there taken out. That's where your screws go on. So should be intuitive for everyone. Yes, we got pre-applied thermal paste, but screws are magnetic, so I can just stick a couple of screws there. Oh, the wonky thing is me, not the screw. This is harder than it looks. You're saying it makes it easier.
It's, you want me to do it?
No, I'm holding it on a really weird angle.
I'm still holding it on a weird angle.
Well, you won't be able to frickin' see anything, will you?
Well, there you go. Instead of all that struggle, you could have just done that first.
But that's no fun. You gotta have fun. But yeah, I get that watching me do that is kind of like watching Peter with the frog in Family Guy.
Oh, or the whale.
Oh, the whale! Oh, God. I forgot that one even existed. The frog is like, oh well, it's just an amphibian, right? They're not super high on the order of life. Like, we don't want to go around killing frogs, but I'm not as like emotionally upset by the death of a frog. However, the death of a whale and like what happens there, yeah. If you know what I'm talking about, you'll know.
If you don't, look up Peter Griffin and the whale.
Family Guy whale. Just Family Guy whale. I'm sure it'll come up. I'm sure you don't need to be any more specific than that. Okay. Alright, so yeah, surface tension should always hold the cooler there for a short amount of time. Now you do have to actually remove that cover to screw in your bolts. So yeah, just sort of tighten them very lightly with your fingers. And what you're going for here is even pressure. You're not, you know, trying to tighten up as hard as you bloody can. Now, you can tell I've had some issues in the past, right, where I've had to fix up people's very, very tight stuff that doesn't come off. And okay, that is all set up. So next around here we've just got some cables. Just route those nice and discreetly. You can plug our DC header in for our pump, and that can go onto the CPU fan header. And so when we configure our fans, we can set that up as a DC fan that just runs at full speed all the time, because it's generally the best way to have your CPU pump. Having them go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down all the time can be a bit of a problem. As for your radiator fans, these are what we call PWM fans, pulse width modulation. These guys can go really, really, really quiet for you. So that's always good, because we don't want our system ramping up and sounding like an aeroplane for no reason. We want it doing that, you know, when it needs it, but we don't want it doing it the whole time. So our radiator is going to be mounted like this in the case. So if I turn that around for you, it's going to be roughly like this. So we don't have a rear. We're not putting in a rear exhaust fan unless we need it. But we've got 3 fans on the front and these high-powered fans here on the bottom. So happy days. So I want my fan cables on that surface. What's happened here? Well, it's just a little small little dent on the fins. Oh, they're quite delicate. So yeah, don't stress. They've been repaired. It's just been pulled out. A little bit of paint comes off. But yeah, just be careful. It won't make any fundamental difference to the performance of your system. But you don't want to. I mean, what I did there, no problems, easy to fix. Big, long scratches all the way down, like the whole length of the bloody thing. That can be, you know, very problematic. So make sure you don't do that. Couple little nicks like that. Nice, fine, pointed screwdriver. Just slowly pull the metal out, and just make sure you can get air through it again, so it's not sort of folded up over itself. So yeah, that'll save you a bit of drama, but yeah, make sure it doesn't, you don't like scrape it up the whole length of the cooler and, you know, do some sort of fundamental damage to the airflow through it. Alright, so got our 3 fans here. Oh, we lost a... Were we short a bulb? Alright, got another bulb there. I won't tell if you... Don't tell Santa. Santa might not be happy.
It's cold for you.
Coal. Isn't Santa like woke now? So why not get like cold? Isn't cold like bad? I'm just being a dickhead.
Bag of rocks.
Bag of rocks. Yeah, that sounds interesting. Hopefully there's some gold when I crack them open.
No, it's just gravel.
Just gravel.
You know, like crusher dust.
Crusher dust.
Have fun with that.
Alright, well, that is our board all prepped and ready to go with our cooler. So everything's all kind of sorted on that end. We can turn our attention now to the case. So I'll get Christine to swap us back. Alright, hello. Fucking hello. Okay, so the P20C, I've used this case quite a bit. It's my go-to for people who want a high performance case, but don't want it to be dripping in RGB. So a lot of the all black cases are kind of lacking a little bit. They're kind of a little bit meh. I don't mean in terms of looks, I mean in terms of features and stuff. So, alrighty, so we got a micro ATX in an ATX case here. So I'll make a few adjustments. Yeah. Doesn't look like a stock photo. Who the fuck is that?
I don't know.
Why are you showing me this?
Farmers who fridge posted it. See?
They've probably been hacked.
No, it says to be honest, who's grabbing chest for usage on Black Friday sales. They can buy more meat. Also, what is up with these stock photos?
Right. Okay. And so around the back here, this is what I'm talking about. USB-C, USB 3, front panel audio. Got room for hard drives. What do we get in here? Oh, look at that. A splitter. How convenient. So these are our fans from the front of the case. We've got another 3 PWM fans here, so we can tune the entire thing for silence, and then when needed it can ramp its way up. Alright, so we've got one of these little plate things. It goes on your power supply. Nearly lost it. Alrighty, take a look at that. Alrighty, so we'll start installing some cables here. We've got a PCIe cable. A CPU power cable. We have our 90-degree 12+4 cable, so we don't like technically need it for this build, but because this is a PC that's going to be upgraded in the future, most probably, we'll go ahead and install it. There's plenty of room as well down here to store some extra cables. So part of the reason is we don't have any RGB, so there's a few less things going on. Okay. So believe it or not, we actually don't need any of these ones. Where are we? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we only need one. Okay, so we installed all of our cables there, and okay. So normally we just have, 4 bolts to do, but with this case we've got one of these plates that go on the back, which I find a little bit annoying. Hey, it is what it is. See how much easier this is? Ugh. Fucking easier now. Ugh. Lovely sound. Okay. The power supply is in. Bloody hell. Yeah.
Mr. Washington says no RGB, obviously sleep dark.
Yep.
No ice is nice.
Yeah, man, it's gonna look the part. I quite like these stealth ones. I reckon they look sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's what the people want. Your dad jokes today were worse. So what are you?
Oh, fuck off.
What are you fucking going on about? Oh, yes.
In the box.
Might want to do this. I love how people like get to the end of their build and then they're like, "What's this for?" Well, see, I find it funny.
Oh my god. That's the best Christmas tree idea ever. Check this out. It's Kirby. Tree.
Kirby inhaling a tree.
See?
It sounds pretty. Yeah. That's cool. Okay. Okay. Actually, these cables are pretty short, so they're going to be a little bit more painful to feed through, so I'll chuck it in. Just one cable tie. Okay. So that's looking pretty good there.
You're not a wet dog anymore, you're just a damn dog. Yeah, a damn dog. You don't care what I'm saying, you listen. It's so tired.
And then we just got one addressable cable for the little bit of lighting on the block. Alrighty, we've got another 3 device splitter cable. Okay. Okay, so that is actually all of our 6 fans there, all plugged in with those splitters. Tied them all into a single group there. Just makes life a bit easier. And we don't need that 12+4 pin for this, even though it's a 40 series. But like I said, we don't actually need isn't the 12+4 for that. It's just a standard connector. So if you were looking at a 4070 upgrade, you don't have to upgrade your power supply potentially. Depends on the specs of your system, but in general, no, not required. And we'll slide these front panel connector cables down here behind the board so they're not sticking out at the bottom or anything. So HD LED and reset switch on the bottom, writing facing down, and power switch and power LED facing up, with positive on the left and negative on the right. Okay, so it's all coming along. So I'll just chuck a few more screws in our motherboard. I hate these fucking things, but they're the cheap ones. Okay, and so really the only other thing other than our graphics card to plug in is our motherboard cable. Alright, and so we're using slots 1 and 2. Okay, graphics card time. And not a ridiculously sized brick graphics card for a change. I mean, love them or hate them, you've still got to admit that these brick cards are getting a bit ridiculous, right? Like, I get that, you know, bigger is better and all that kind of stuff, but I know that in other markets where energy is more expensive or the average wage is much lower, and energy is more important, those sort of users are starting to, you know, complain about the direction of graphics cards, how the, you know, a lot of them aren't as power efficient. Certainly the ones that are geared for gaming. So, you know, probably in the future, the energy efficiency of said components will become a bigger issue in the West. There we go. Should hear that click for the slot once it's tightened. If you don't hear the click, you might have it on a bit of a silly angle. There we go. And that is our 14600 KF RTX 4070 Eagle OC build in the Antec P20C case. So definitely good looking, sharp, and no messing around. Alrighty, have a look at that. I reckon that looks the goods. And so some people might go, why is there no fan on the back there? So we don't really need it. These fans are higher powered than these ones on the front, but they are constricted by the radiator. So that pretty much balances them out. So we've got 3 fans pushing cool air in the front, and then we've got the heat being exhausted out the top there. So the extra fan there would just be adding an extra component to it. It's not really there for any functional reason. In the worst case scenario, you could potentially reverse the orientation of these pipes here for the cooler, and you could put one in, but like I said, it's probably just going to add a bit of noise and not really provide much extra performance. So have the glass panel down on my mouse then. But the question is, will she work? All right. So what are we reckoning? We're gonna power on? Is it gonna post? Who knows? Have I done everything right? I broke it. Christine reckons I broke it.
You always break things.
I always break things. So yes, it might not look like it's on, but it's definitely, she's definitely on. You're definitely doing stuff. Do you want to grab BIOS?
I was just about to start reading something.
I'm sorry.
You will be.
It's a Asus Prime B760M-A. B760M-A.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, M-A Wi-Fi.
D4 or just Wi-Fi?
No, DDR5, so just Wi-Fi.
Stop moving this fucking thing around. It was uploading it and it's uploaded there and then it was like over here, over here.
Okay. Go over to our tools, easy flash utility. Oh, shit. I thought that was already updating. That's weird. It did a BIOS update and then it took me back to the Easy Flash utility. Like in BIOS.
That's
Normally it... Yeah. Did it like save settings? Like configuration settings like before updating or something like that? That's pretty weird, right? Anyone watching who, you know, knows a bit about computers, it's not your first radio. What do you think? Must be like the BIOS settings, configuration settings are saved and then it just booted me straight back into Easy Flash utility. That's weird, right? What the fuck? Now this is strange. Hey man, how you going?
So it came up on the screen after it first updated that you have to pick the same BIOS a second time.
Oh, are you serious? Thanks for that. That'll fucking do it. So it basically wants me to do it again. Okay, doesn't like enter. Needs a mouse click. Alright. Who brought that up?
Rick.
Thanks for that, Rick. Because yeah, I was out of the room. I didn't see that. Spinning me out. What the fuck's going on here? Normally if it does this, it just restarts and just continues with the BIOS update. It's pretty weird. Okay. That looks like a more normal screen. So yeah, we should be all good to go. Always do a BIOS update just to make sure that your RAM is definitely going to be compatible. Ugh. Okay. What am I doing? Alright, so we'll get some stuff installed here offline. Save us a bit of time. Okay. So now we'll set up the stuff that requires an internet connection. Okay, so we're nearly done with all this. Now then we'll have a look at the 14600 KF. And we'll do our stress test and benchmarks. Set up MSI Afterburner. Alright, there's our RTX 4070. USB drivers, that's why you couldn't see a mouse then. Oh shit. Alright, so these are all the values we want to see in our on-screen display. You can set this up at home and test your own CPU. And like I thought, it's a 14 core 20 thread CPU. And these values here that don't have a number, that's the total. All right. Okay. So 14 core 20 thread, 32 gigabyte of RAM, 6400 megahertz, CL32, our C drive, my USB, our internet, and our RTX 4070. We'll turn off these auto starts, they're always annoying. We can decide what gaming client we want to use when we turn on our computer. I've already got that. I got everything we need. So we should still have some stuff to install via Armory Crate. Yeah, there we go. So you never completely set up with Windows until you make all these things disappear. There are some exceptions. Sometimes you'll get a PC, and for whatever reason a device is misbehaving in Windows. Sometimes it's fixed with a Windows update, sometimes it's fixed with a BIOS update. But typically, you want to see no hazard signs, no yellow triangles. I hate how long ASUS Armory Crate installer takes to actually install. Like, what is it, like freaking 100 gigabytes worth of data? I don't think it is. Okay, so there's a couple of things you want to do here if you're setting up your ASUS motherboard for the first time. So obviously agree to the terms and conditions if you do agree. And we'll just make sure that all of our ASUS onboard devices have their firmware, etc. updated. Festive effects, look at that. Alrighty, so we've got some stuff to install there as well. Actually getting half decent internet speeds, look at that. Getting up to 130 meg. Alright, so as ASUS installs there, we'll start seeing these things disappear.
Fish and chip shops now have to label where their fish comes from.
Yeah, cool.
If supermarkets have to, you do too.
Excellent. Look at that. All of our hazard signs have disappeared. And we're just getting the final one, the chipset driver. And then we'll be good to restart. So we can have a look at the 14600KF without all this crap running in the background. What on earth is it still going? Asus just takes ages to install their stuff. Finally!
scientists in Shark Bay doing observations for dolphins and stuff like that came across this like mass of hundreds of thousands of these little tiny crabs in like a big sheet of water on the top of the water. They're like, what the fuck? They had to slow down their boat because they were like, yeah, we're going to be making the crab sushi if we just like plow through this. I reckon it's like a new subspecies that hasn't really been documented before.
Okay. Alright, let's have a look at this thing. Pretty good. So what do those numbers actually mean? Well, I'll show you. So as we can see here, look at that. Absolute weapon. Keeping up with the best there. Do we have... we don't have 13600K for comparison. Say we could probably run that again and we would get better multi-core. Because the thing is, it peaked at 10,000. Which is, you know, going to put us in line with 12th Gen i9 for multi-core. And yes, it'll push a lot of power through it. That's the thing about all of the new CPUs. They all run so damn hot. Which brings me to something else I'll install. Just like the i9s, we'll put a custom power profile in there for if anyone wants to do intense multi-core workloads, and then they won't have to have it get real hot and then throttle itself. So I'll save a custom power profile in there, about 160-ish watts. Oh, still thermal throttling. Wow, look at that. Geez, they really got these things pushed hard, don't they? Okay, let's just make sure that there's no weird shit going on with our pump in terms of the speed settings. Just make sure that that's all sweet, because if we can run it with a higher wattage, it's more performance. It shouldn't be on PWM mode for the CPU. I'm not sure why it won't let me change. Because it's only a 3-pin cable from the pump.
He's pulling my chair. He's like, dude was asking a question in PC Master Race if we should buy this laptop, right?
Yeah.
It's got solid RAM.
Yay.
And then he was like, no! What are you doing? Don't do that.
Alright, let's double check that we've got even mounting pressure. Oh. Alright, we've tuned the fans and we've definitely double checked our mounting pressure on the cooler. Let's make sure that everything's running sweet. Alright, let's see if it made much of a difference, making sure that mounting pressure was definitely even. One of the bolts there didn't feel very in line with the rest, so yeah, it might make a bit of a difference. Okay, so what we're looking at here is we're looking at our temperatures. That's a bit better. Look at that. Bit of mounting pressure made all the difference. And the fan tune. Look at that. Could we even... Alright, let's push her a little bit harder. What do you reckon? Yeah, sweet. We can even push it a bit harder, I reckon. We give... Let's give a nice round 200 watts as our limit. Alright, I think we found our sweet spot. Might wind it back just a little bit. Just slightly. But yes, that's behaving itself a lot better now. Awesome. Right, better save. Okay. So now we'll run our gaming benchmarks. Heaven on high, no anti-aliasing. Oh. There we go. Okay, so all the stuff on the screen, we've got our graphics card temperature, usage, clock speed, wattage, our VRAM usage and clock speed, we've got our CPU temperature, usage, clock speed and wattage, we've got our RAM usage, and this number below RAM, this is our frames per second. I don't know, man. Alrighty, so that was Heaven there on high with no anti-aliasing. And next we do Valley on Ultra with max anti-aliasing.
Also, he has that at their office. I hope that office is in your own home. What's up?
Oh, my nose is fucking itchy. Alrighty, and superposition at 4K.
Thanks to Thanksgiving this year, 2.8 million people were screened in the US airports. Pretty close to 2.9 million. That's a lot of fucking people. More planes. More planes.
It's like 1 in 10 people in Australia.
Literally just like jeez, 0.6 million. Just it's really not that much. That'd be so funny. The chase hunting during the 20.
Yeah. That would be pretty funny.
It's on Friday night.
Oh shit.
Because who could he go? be there.
How much is it?
$40 a person.
Oh yeah.
Cheapest one. Oh wait, no. Yeah.
Okay, and that was superposition there at 4K.
It's $50 a person.
And now, finally, we're on to our stress test. Alright, so there's Furmark. And we'll set Cinebench up to run for 90 minutes. Okay, and so yeah, we just let this one run for 90 minutes, make sure everything's all good, and then it'll be ready to go. So I'm super tired, so I might get Christine to move it back and we might finish up for the night. Alrighty, so thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all in the next video.